Guys, and welcome back to the Chaotic Kids channel, where I, Michelle, document my life here on YouTube as I try to become a full-time author while also traversing the world's multiple personalities. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. But today we are going to be talking about this little bad boy and the story of how the Bugztopia PD series became what it is today. So, let's get into it. Guys, so the day you guys are going to see this is May 6th, and this is the day that book 1 of the Bugztopia PD series, the Bugztopia PD, the Attack on A&T Hill, is coming out. It is available on all platforms in paperback and ebook. Ebook is $2.99, paperback is $8.99. And I decided I was going to kind of take you through an adventure on how it became just a thought in my head to becoming this first edition to later becoming the second edition. And maybe also how, like, the series evolved over time, because I did, in fact, at one point want to traditionally publish this, but as I learned with my writing, I am not somebody who can, like, I don't know how the book series is going to end, so it's hard to be like, this is how it's going to end, and tell a publisher how it's going to end, you know? And I don't think they want someone who's... This is just my opinion. I don't think traditional publishers want books that, like, especially for new time authors, to, like, have series that are, like, 50 books long, 100 books long. Like, they don't want, like, especially for a new debut author, they don't want that. They just want a single standalone. But I don't know how to write standalones. Like, I physically try, but they always end up to be longer. But anyways, back to Bugztopia. So back in, I want to say 2022-ish, maybe even earlier than, I don't know. I can't think of the age. No, 2021. That's how, it's 2021. But in 2021, my nephew asked me to write him a book series. And at first I was like, dude, I don't know what you want from me. I am writing stories, but I don't know if I can write your kind of stories. But as time progressed, I started forming a part named Shelly, who actually took what my nephew said seriously, and Shelly thus became who she is today, and writes her middle grade children's chapter books, or just children's stories, for our nephew, our nieces, whenever they get come of age. If I have kids, their books, you know, like, really starting to write books for the next generation, for kids. And yeah, that's just kind of how Shelly became. And, like, I would say that is honestly how Shelly became, and how our nephew is such an inspiration for us as our mental health has grown. But back to Bugztopia. So he asked me to write him a book series. He was 7 at the time. He wanted something about bugs, and I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, and I'm just struggling as it is, just being me. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna slide this under the rug. And I think after he said he had to go take a nap or something like that, or he went off to go play with my brother. I don't honestly remember. He said it and then left. And then I was like, I told my sister, I had a conversation with her, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? And she's like, don't worry about it. He'll probably forget about it. Weeks later, still hadn't forgotten about it, and I was just like, okay, what am I going to do about this? But I sat him down, and, like, you know, it's hard to sit down a 7-year-old, just because 7-year-olds are crazy. Any young kid's crazy, period. But at the certain point, I was just like, he was invested in the story, and I was like, okay, what do you want? And he was saying, like, how he wants this, and this, and this, and I was like, dude, I can't make it all. I need one central focus for right now. And he was like, I wanted something like I think he said, like, what mommy wants, I think, or I think somehow we got onto the idea of detectives. I think because, was I watching Bones at the time? I don't remember what I was watching. But we were just watching something, and he's like, I want something like that. And I was like, okay. But he was like, I want this character and this character, and these two characters were himself and his sister. And he always knew he wanted to be a pink and purple mantis, and he wanted my niece, his sister, to be a butterfly. And so that's kind of how Officer Renee and Officer Francis became a thing. And that's kind of how the PD series kind of became how it started. And, originally when I was writing the series, I just knew it was going, I had envisioned it to be a 26 book series, one letter for each letter, a book for each letter of the alphabet, A, and, kind of like A to Z mysteries. But as I wrote, that did not happen, because I started writing The Attack on A&T Hill, and I was just writing it, and I was like, if I continue down this pathway, it's gonna, the way I write, I'm a discovery writer, and as I typed, I was like, this story's not over yet, I'm gonna continue on to the next book, and then it kept going and going, and I was like, I think at book 3, I was like, I need to, this case is finally over, but I'm like, I can't physically move from this case, which is, the ant case, to another case, I wanted to do a bee case, a bee, a buzzing bee, and I was like, they don't fit, and I was like, these 3 books for the A don't fit in with the B, so I was like, I need to finish out this storyline, or story arc, with Officer Francis and Officer Renee, and that is how I got to the 6 books. And then I was like, okay, I want to do this B case, how I got, book 7, and I was like, book 7 wasn't fully, I had another case I wanted to do, and book 8 came about. But I think as I was doing, I was on the second round of edits with book 7, I think, and I was just sitting here I don't know how this is supposed to fit in with this. So that's kind of how I separated it into seasons of books. What was I saying? I don't even know where I was going on this tangent. But basically, book 1 was always supposed to be the attack, an A. A was supposed to be for A&T Hill. That later evolved into the whole storyline, which is the ant plan, I think is what I called it. I can't remember what I called the series, the omnibus title. But that's kind of how the A&T Hill how it became what it is. And then back in 2023, I released this book. This is the first edition of the books. I did all the formatting for it. I did the cover art. Well, not this part I paid someone to do, but the cover design I did myself. I did these border these page I don't even know those sidebars. I also paid for character designs for the chapter headers, and I was proud of it. But I think at book 3, I was like, I know I want to redo this, because I love these, but they don't scream middle grade to me. They seem screaming self-published, not sure what they're doing author. So I was like, okay, I'm going to redo this. And that's kind of when the second edition of Bugztopia was a thought. But at that point, I was ready to publish book 3, and I was like, I can't just stop this line of books and not finish the complete set out. So I was like, I need to finish out the complete 6 books, finish that, and I was like, okay, that would get done in December. But, I pushed up the I pushed up the ending until October, waited until December, took them all down, and then this year in May, I decided I was going to republish them. I originally wanted them to be under an LLC, and I have the LLC I have the name for it already, but it's hard to have an LLC and set up a company whenever you're broke. There's no other word to describe other than I am broke. I'm on disability. I do have some money in savings, but that is going to have to be taken out so I can still live in this house, so I just don't have the money to spend on setting up a company. I still have money to, buy cover art, this part, but that is because I budgeted it in. I don't have money to just do a company. One day I would love to have a company. I would love to actually set it up. I'm thinking like, this is just random numbers. Maybe if I made $1,000 off my books, like, I was making regular money off of it, then I would do it. But for right now, it's just not happening. But so I knew I wanted to set up this publishing house. I actually set up a little, if you look down here, I don't know how well it's going to show up. That's the logo that I decided to design. I was like, I'm just leaving it on the books. Because, you know, it's still, like, it may not be official, but it's still at. But yeah, so what happened from May 2023 to to May, hold on, let me try that again. From September 2023 to May 2025, this has been the evolution of the series. And I personally love this book, this formatting and stuff of this book, because it feels more appropriate. And even with this, I have started a new YouTube channel. It is called Author Shelley Middle Grade Author. But it is basically a channel for Shelley, one of my authors, or the author of these books, to interact with her fans and completely share the world of Bugztopia. And on the 10th, she is going to be publishing her first reading of the book. So she's going to be doing chapters, she's going to do 2 chapters at a shot, reading the book. She might also do, like, a, I was going to say, like, book discussion. I don't know. We haven't fully discussed what we're going to do with it yet. We're waiting to record the first one before we can decide it. But yeah, like, that's kind of how Bugztopia evolved. Yeah, it started out with an idea that my nephew wanted. Then it became this. And then at a certain point, we were like, we want to get a new cover and just redesign it a little bit. So that's when this one came out. And honestly, the words are still the same from that. The words are pretty much the same as this one. Maybe some different, I think there's some spelling mistakes, so I changed it. But yeah, this is, I feel like the best. I don't want to say the best it'll ever get, because I feel like when we get to the point where we actually make an LLC, I think we would have someone redesign these covers. Or maybe possibly ask our cover designer to do it. I don't know. But also at the same point, I like how these look, so I'm not sure. But yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. It's kind of how Bugztopia became to be. I would like to do a video where I talk about how much money it cost me to publish these books. And kind of how I do the publishing process, so I think I might record that after this. I'm not sure. But before I leave, I wanted to read the back blurb of this book for you guys. So, the Bugztopia PD, The Attack on A&T Hill. It says, A City of Bugs. A know-it-all mantis, a family-orientated butterfly. Put them together and you get an amazing partnership. Or at least that's what we're told. Officer Francis Mantis and Officer Renee Monarch are new to the police department, and today they have to switch out their old partners for each other. These officers didn't know much about each other besides their lack of similarities, but they must push past their differences to solve the break-in at A&T Hill, the biggest company in Bugztopia, and along the way they find a connection to each other and form a friendship that'll last forever. So that's the back blurb of this. Yeah, this is the book. It is coming out today when you see this. But yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Leave a comment down below if you've seen it, or if you're going to read it. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. I hope you guys all have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys next time, okay? Bye!